You can support the Dungeon Masters Dojo in some very simple ways. Be patronizing, like Lou, and become a patron on Patreon and unlock exclusive patron content.
Or if you're like Scott and long-term commitment is an issue, you can buy a Sasaki, shop our merch page for DMD swag, or use our Drive-Thru RPG affiliate link next time you shop Drive-Thru RPG.
Or visit us on the web at thedungeonmastersdojo.com. There, you'll find links to all the above. Don't forget to email us and say hello.
Thanks for listening.
Greetings and salutations, DMs, GMs, referees, judges, game operations directors, and all other varieties of storytellers. This is your DM, Scott, and it's time for another DM Quick Tip. It's the beginner DM telling the story this week on DM Quick Tips. Let's talk about storytelling. It's the foundation of every good DM. You probably listen to and or watch the variety of DMs in action and thought to yourself, wow, what a complex and engaging story that they and their players tell together. And it's true. There are some DMs out there that are really telling fantastic stories. There's no reason why that can't be you. The thing to keep in mind is you don't have to tell a complex story for it to be engaging. Not every story you tell has to have red herrings, complex plot lines, or involve world-saving events. Keep your story small and simple, especially when you're starting out. They can be just as engaging and just as enjoyable as all those complex stories told by experienced storytellers and DMs. Use TV and movies as an example. Not every episode of your favorite television show is going to tell a complex or groundbreaking story, but that doesn't mean that it won't be entertaining. And not all movies are The Lord of the Rings, and they don't have to be enjoyable. One of my favorite movies is Sahara. It's not a complex story. It's nowhere near as sweeping or cinematic as the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I love the movie because I was entertained and it was enjoyable to watch. Not every story you tell has to be huge. Start small. Maybe there are bandits in the woods and the PCs are hired to take care of the threat. Pretty simple, right? It is. You're not saving the world, but you're saving a town or a village, and that can be just as entertaining. It can be just as enjoyable, too. You can still be an outstanding DM while telling a small story. Telling a small story is especially important when you have a table with players new to the game. Ease them into the game with simple stories. Maybe the person they suspect of being the tyrant, murderer, or culprit of any sort is, in fact, that person. Maybe the problem is that supplies aren't getting to the village because a group of bandits, goblins, or kobolds are just holding them up. Maybe the solution to the problem is wiping out whatever the threat is. Keep it simple, not only for you as a new DM, but for new players as well. You don't want to get overwhelmed, and you certainly don't want to overwhelm your new players. Eventually, you're going to be able to gravitate towards more complex storytelling, bigger stories, world-saving events. But for now, just keep it simple and have a good time. One of the things that can become really overwhelming for a new DM is world building. You're brand new to sitting in the big chair, and now you have to run the world as well as the table. You don't have to build a world. Don't even bother. Maybe you have an idea for your campaign setting, and maybe it's not one of the retail campaign settings available to you. And that's fine. Go with it. Understand that with your small stories, your environment should be small as well. Start with the village and the surrounding woods. Make maps of that village and those woods. Populate the village and the woods with NPCs and monsters, and play for the next 3 to 4 levels in that area, gradually expanding, gradually building the world in which you play in. This makes it seem like far less a daunting task, and, well, that's because it is. The other thing to consider is, again, D&D and other role-playing games are about collaborative storytelling. You do not have to build, develop, or populate the world all on its own. Your players can participate in that as well. The world they play in is their playground. It's their sandbox. They should have a say. They should collaborate. Nothing will motivate players more than being part of the development of the world in which they play. This could be as simple as a background story. A brief character background story can very easily kickstart the development of an entire culture. What they look like, how they dress, what they eat, what family looks like, etc. I have found that when I let my players have a part in developing the world they play in, they take ownership, oftentimes, of an entire race and culture of people, and they just run with it. Many of the races and cultures in our homebrew campaign have been really fleshed out and developed by not just one player, but a few who have played characters from that race and culture. Always keep in mind that complex doesn't necessarily mean fun, and the goal of the game is to have a good time. Sometimes simple is better, and this is always the case with the new DM. Keep it simple, have a good time, develop your skill set, and learn to tell good stories. Now, there are many ways for a new DM to begin storytelling, and these are just a few. We'll see you next time in the dojo.